Gen 1 introduces us into the wonderful world of Pocket Monsters, and the whole series. Many mainstays of the series are born here. The open world design makes the handheld format really excel, and catching wild Pokemon gives a lot of small rewards frequently, like a really bad dominatrix or a really good mommy. It's a wonderful world, and you're always excited to find new monsters, explore new areas, and maybe catch that one Pokemon you've had your eye on, or the one that your friend told you could get by going to this particular car, doing 50 jumping jacks IRL, pressing A 25 times, then giving him your Lunchables, and trading your little Desby Cosmic Brownie for his Gala Apple. Wait, fucking Greg. God damn it, Greg. I knew my cartridge wasn't broken, you little shit. The other half of Gen 1 is a giant technical buggy fucking mess. You can literally rewrite the code of the game by playing it and play Pong or something. I don't know. Whatever the hell a Game Boy can handle. There are moves that just are supposed to deal a set amount of damage, but will just do 1 damage every time. Just does the wrong amount. Like, who doesn't... whatever. No matter how you put it, Gen 1 is iconic, and a great way for Pokemon to start out. Like, who doesn't like Pokemon in some capacity? Generation 2 came out so shortly after Gen 1 that I can't really talk about it too much. It's basically a copy of Gen 1, just less buggy and with cooler Pokemon. The base stats of the starters are all the same as Gen 1, but take a look at Pichu, Cyndaquil, Totodile, so many cool new Pokemon here. I honestly just can't write about Gen 2. It's so similar to Gen 1. It feels like Gen 1, just sort of slightly better. Gen 3 was probably the biggest leap forward that Pokemon made. So many cool new Pokemon, especially legendaries. New mechanics like abilities, a whole bunch of new moves, bunches of changes to how Pokemon data works like personalities and new Pokeball variants. It also introduced Pokemon contests, Pokemon natures, and double battles. It also housed the first Generation 1 remake, which makes it the game that many people identify Pokemon with. Generation 3's console releases included Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, which are the best console Pokemon games, yes, including Pokemon Snap. Don't come at me with that, it was above average, okay? I think Generation 3 was the most technically competent and statistically the best entry in the whole franchise. Gen 3 was also probably the most competitively balanced, weirdly, with most Pokemon who have a gimmick or high enough stats being viable for at least 1 point, and it's still played in some tournaments to this day, unlike Gen 4, which is sort of bland. Competitively, it was pretty broken, with power creep starting to become an issue. It didn't add a whole lot to the series besides some wickedly cool legendaries. It's not really talked about a lot, and that's because there isn't much to touch on. I might have been the only person who owned the console game released, Pokemon Battle Revolution, which has a cover art and name so generic that I spent 3 minutes googling it just now. Diamond and Pearl are overshadowed by Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and Heart Gold / Soul Silver are overlooked because Diamond and Pearl are just sort of blah. It's a shame because although the gameplay slowed down a little bit here, they weren't bad games, especially the Gen 2 remakes. They just weren't anything special. I can relate to that in a sad but not entirely unexpected way. Gen 5 is weird because it's the first game to not have a console game or two released for it. It's also the first generation to not have a remake of a different game, which would have been a Gen 3 remake, which would have been sick, gnarly, and twisted if it came during Gen 5. Black 2 and White 2 are weird games that stick out compared to the rest of the series. Gen 5 also got online play to work well. Diamond and Pearl had it too, but it was meh. Black and White really got it right. Power creep is definitely an issue here though, and for the first time there's an antagonist with a sympathetic cause. It's just such a bizarre generation that it's a good talking point for the whole series. It made lots of deviations from the norm, which is contrary to Gen 4, I guess, but not all of it is in a good way. The trend of weird Pokemon from inanimate objects being one of them. I don't really care too much for that argument though. I always liked Clefly, she's adorable. What are you gonna do, crucify me? Please don't crucify me. Gen 6 is weird too, okay? Now we're in 3D, which is a big deal. You can customize your character now, Mega Evolutions, which is a really cool concept, but also gives people more of their favorite Pokemon from previous generations, as well as contributing / mitigating simultaneously to power creep. Also, previous gen Pokemon aren't locked to a post-game or a specific area now. Black 2 and White 2 did this, but they're just weird, so I'm not counting them. Gen 6 is the first time you can find a Pikachu and the brand new bird Pokemon within the first hour of the game, so it's real cool for that. Online play and trading is even better with Pokemon Petting Simulator and the GTS being simple additions that add a lot to the player experience. Again, I'm pretty sure Generation 5 had the GTS too, but it was clunky and awkward to use, and not as many people were online then either. Oh, and roller skates! Now you can become Narlos. It's like Carlos, but he felt like his name needed a little bit more Nar, you know? So he added some roller skates and called himself Narlos. Catch you on the flip side, process. Whoa, you're here now. This is like an island, bro. I just came here to catch the waves and make a chill zone, you feel? Oh, well, Generation 7 basically replaced your HM moves with rideable Pokemon that you got as a result of story progression. Gnarly. Makes you feel more attached to these critters. Generation 7's biggest shakeup to formula is these things called Totem Pokemon, which is Pokemon's new take on, like, boss battles. Okay, fuck this voice. So, the islands are also supposed to be a shakeup to formula, but they don't really work. They're not quite as good as the Z moves. Well, the Z moves too, actually, but not quite as good as Totem Pokemon. Whatever. That voice kills me every time. We can't really talk about Gen 8 yet, but Gen 1 is iconic, Gen 2 was a lot of small improvements, but it was pretty similar to Gen 1. Gen 3 was where Pokemon really became a big franchise and a lot of game-defining mechanics were introduced. Gen 4 stands out even less than Gen 2, which is saying something. Generation 5 really took Pokemon in a new direction, Gen 6 modernized it, and Gen 7 tried to shake things up but ended up just redefining and tweaking the way other mechanics already worked. Totem Pokemon were really the only key gameplay change. Pokemon is a weirdly fantastic franchise. I feel like I can't really speak on it. It's about as big as Harry Potter or Mario, despite being this strange little pocket of Nintendo. Most people have played a little bit of one Pokemon game or another, and even your grandma could tell you she recognized Pikachu, maybe even Charizard. So, thank you. Stay safe, stay sane. I love you. Good night.